host, Karla Nivens.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karla Nivens. I am your host for the Every Heart, Every Woman show. Our show is a partner with Love Ministries, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. You can go to loveministriesbuilds.org, get all of the great information about Love Ministries. You can also feel free to head to my website. It's karlanivens.com. Well, we are so excited to welcome back to the show. This is Rachel Ann Ridge, and Rachel is has just put out her new book. I'm gonna move it around here to make sure we can get it in the shot here. It is The Donkey Principle: The Secret to Long Haul Living in a Racehorse World. Thank you so much, Rachel, for being here and joining us again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's so fun to get to chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we were just saying before we started that it truly has been a while. It's been a couple of years since 2019, we suppose. With COVID and everything, things get kind of scrambled around. So, Rachel, could you start by reminding us where in the world did you come up with this idea to build this very successful brand around donkeys?
That's the big question. Why donkeys? Why does a nice lady like you have an interest in donkeys? Well, I tell you, it was not on my bucket list to be even really interested in, donkey stories. But I just have to say that God has a way of surprising us and offering twists and turns that we did not see coming. And one night, many years ago, my husband and I were working on a job site. We had been working on our dream business. We're both creatives, we're both artists, and we had built a mural and a design business in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And in the early 2000s, business was booming. We were busy. We were living our dream. We moved out to the country with our 3 kids and our dog, and things were good. And then the 2008 housing crisis happened. And as we were approaching that, we began to feel just the pressure and the pinch. Those lucrative jobs that we had, lined up were fewer and further between. It was harder to fill our calendar. And there was one spring night that my husband and I were up on ladders in somebody's entryway, trying to finish up a mural and get paid. And about halfway through that night, we realized that the money that we were going to make on that particular project was not even going to meet our needs for the rest of the month. And we were just plunged into this despair and anger and, bitter when you're working with your spouse. It's sometimes not so fun. And that long drive home over our country roads, I just felt so just despondent, felt like the rug had been ripped out from underneath us. And I remember just closing my eyes and just praying one of those prayers. It's just a sigh that comes from deep within. It's not like there's not even really any words. It's just that, oh God, please do something here. I need a miracle. Mm-hmm. And right about that time, my husband hit the brakes of our old rickety old Explorer, and the dust went flying. And right in front of our vehicle on our driveway was a donkey, a stray donkey.
Yes.
And, I'm looking over at the dashboard at this donkey, and he's looking back at me like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And to make a long story short, this stray donkey, we pushed and pulled and bribed and got him somehow into our empty pasture for what we thought was an overnight stay. But when nobody claimed him, nobody came forward, this donkey became a permanent fixture in our our family and in our home. And you know, that night I had asked for a miracle, and I did not get the kind of miracle that I was seeking, but I got a donkey.
Yes.
I got a story, and that donkey in a roundabout way really became just the miracle that I needed. I needed a not a quick fix answer, a band-aid for not just the financial problems, but the personal issues that I was dealing with. But I needed a way to just have a vision for how I could walk out and live the rest of my life. And this donkey in my pasture just reminded me that that the slow path is often the best path. And that it takes a bit of stubbornness and grit and stick-to-itiveness and resilience to keep going when things are tough. But when you identify and resonate with that donkey spirit, I call it embracing your inner donkey. You know, you realize that you are built for difficult trails, that you are well suited for challenges, and that we are given everything that we need for the journey that is set before us. So that's a long way about how did I, you know, donkeys literally landed in my driveway, and that's kind of been the beginning of telling these stories and just sharing these parts of my life with the wider world.
Yeah. I remember thinking, you know, back then, I think I'm gonna go back here to make sure I get this right. I'm gonna go in the book. So far you have the first book was Flash, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Flash, and then I think the second one was Flash the Donkey Makes New Friends, and then Walking with Henry.
That's
Is that the
correct.
correct order? Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember, I believe our first conversation, I think, was about Flash. And I think I had a guest helping me to interview you. And both of us, after you left, we were like, Lord, where's our donkey? Like this. I mean,
Well, you know what? Maybe the Lord wants you to adopt a donkey, Karla. Maybe this is the word of the Lord to you.
I'm so scared of animals. And so I don't know if that's quite what it is, but the premise behind that was, you know, like this was completely out of the blue. Nobody, I mean, no one could have predicted this, and that this was the way the Lord was leading you, and it came to you really in a stray donkey, and all of the things that donkeys are, their personalities, and you know they they're their own animal. You know, they're their own
Yes.
animals.
Yes, they are. And there are many of us that can identify with the, we've been called donkeys.
Yes.
And I say, you know what, that's a good thing. That is a good thing. I love that donkeys are the chosen animal that that Jesus used for his most important ride into Jerusalem. You know, he could have chosen a big flashy war horse with all the banners and the, you know, paraphernalia around that, but he chose a donkey who, you know, you sit on, you're not any higher up than the people that are standing around you. So he was, you know, really making a statement about the kind of kingdom that he was bringing, that he was establishing. And to me, that's just another reminder and something that brought me forward in bringing this latest book about the donkey principle. And I think over the last, you know, really since the internet has exploded, you know, we have front row seats into what we deem success. You know, we can see the influencers, we can see the celebrities, we can see neighbors and their fabulous lives and all of their full successes and their lavish luxury trips, you know, and all the promotions and all, you know, all the things. And then we tend to see all of that success and then look at our own lives in comparison and feel we feel like shabby donkeys in living in a world that celebrates the racehorses, the winners, the shiny and the flashy. And it's really a false way to live in this world, because really living a truly meaningful life is the way of the donkey. It is the way of service and finding your own pace and being willing to dig in and be in it for the long haul.
Yes.
So the stories just lend themselves, I think, to just a reminder that there's more to life than the flashy and shiny, but there's something that's really beautiful about choosing a more humble way of life and a slower pace.
Yes. I think that leaders, number one, have to remember that what you just said. But moms, like, we're so hard on ourselves. Women, we're so hard on ourselves. And the other thing I was thinking as I was reading through the donkey principle is this is perfect to come out to be released right after Easter, right after we are celebrating really resurrection and coming to life. Because when what you thought was going to be the thing and what you thought was going to work out, when that dies, when that is in the tomb, when that is, that is no more, then a lot of times we can get ourselves in that place where we do finally look up and say, okay, Lord, what do you actually want to bring to life? What can be resurrected from what I'm going through, and what is my story, and what is my way forward? I thought this is the perfect thing for people to read, to continue to study what it means to for this beautiful life that is properly lived, not in comparison with other people or what we think other people are going through, but properly lived and, like you said, service to others, and lived in a way that really is at a pace that pleases the Lord. Like, what can be resurrected out of each of our lives,
Well, there's always, I like to, just to expand on that comparison, racehorse living versus the donkey principle, that when we're on an endless loop of competition, going for gold medals and for the, kind of reaching for that brass ring, or we can choose to get off of that endless loop and go to the mountain treks to look for the gold mines. So if you are identifying with a donkey, you're saying you're not made for a racetrack. You are made for a gold mine, and your life is that gold mine, and that rich vein of gold that is within you is just waiting to be mined. But it's going to take a lot of work to go in there, to go deep time after time, in order to take up that rubble and move that out of the way and blast your way to find that mother lode of gold that has been placed within us. And I think that is your gift to the world, that's been placed within you. And we can't, it takes time, and it takes reflection. It takes being willing to be curious about our own lives and our own stories. And it takes a willingness to just stick with it for the long haul, to really find what is that gold that is within us, that's that calling, that's that meaningful work that you can bring to the world and offer it as a blessing to others. And I'm not talking about, like you have to start a great ministry, or you have to write a book, or, do something that's big. I think the gold that is within each of us is finding our unique strengths and combining that with our unique story, and figuring out what our pace is, and then just seeing how can we serve others. So, for many people, for moms, your gold may be serving your family.
Yes.
That is your gift to the world. You're raising kids, you are imparting and, things into them. You're the taxi driver, you're doing all the things. That is a beautiful gift. And it should never be undervalued.
Right.
Maybe your gift is serving in a nursery at church, or you're a greeter at the door, or whatever the case is. But that place where you find joy in giving, I think that's where you need to start looking.
Right. And those things are huge things. We can't.
They are.
And number one, I always think about families. Not everyone has the opportunity to really pour into their children and take a time and space to say, this is the time that I'm going to use to invest in my family. Not everyone, number one, has that opportunity. And we need to probably adjust how we think about that and realize that is a huge calling and will pay dividends for years and years and years to come, generations to come, really. So I love that. One thing, I'll get to this, this book is very practical. It gets into the practical things and gives you some really good step-by-step, ask you great questions. But this is one thing that I starred, and it's about Flash. It says, what is true of Flash the donkey is true of you. You were valuable before anyone ever recognized your worth. Even before you took your first breath, you were created for goodness, not for achievement, but for presence that comes from deep within, a knowing, a sureness, a trueness that you belong in this world and you are worthy of your place here. Then it goes on saying that, you should live untroubled and you should live hopeful and confident in each day. And I just thought a lot of times that is the reminder that we need, not even if we're thinking I've got my place that is gold and I know what it is. Maybe someone is just wanting to make it through today in whatever they're dealing with. That is a great word, really just for the moment, just for today, just to sit down, take a breath and breathe in that truthfulness.
I just, that chapter, I was probably one of the first chapters that I had in my mind that I wanted to impart. And that is that, for those of us who feel like a donkey, like everybody else is making it, everybody else is driving a nicer car, everybody else has better job and is doing all the things. And then we look at our, piles of dishes and laundry and the bills and, whatever our struggle is. We devalue just even our presence in this world. And if there's nothing else that you take away from the book, and it is this, that the truest thing about you is that you are worthy, that you are loved, that you are worthy of this life and your place in it. And you are supposed to be here, that it's not about your achievements. And even in the struggle, even because of the struggle and through the struggle, there are moments where, you don't always sense God's presence with you. Sometimes there is that absence, but just to be reminded that God is with you in your deepest, darkest moments. And your miracle may be just around the corner. It may show up looking like nothing like you planned. I thought my miracle would be the Publishers Clearinghouse people with the big old check, that I was going to get $5,000 a week for the rest of my life. That was my idea of what a miracle would be. But sometimes our miracles or the answer to our prayer looks more like an interruption. It looks more like a detour, looks more like a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And I think if we just take a step back and look at the circumstances that are in our lives and maybe just ask, is there something in here that may lead me to the answer, or that there's something that I can learn, or there's something that I can glean or hang on to? And then you just keep walking. You just take the next slow step, and eventually you will find yourself in a place where you look back and go, oh, okay. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Now I see, I see how God has used all of this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I want to talk a little bit about just the practical things that you share. And I want to talk about calendaring, because that's huge. Now you also go into great things like, rest and pausing and having joy and the time to play, all of those things. We are learning, Roosevelt and I, my husband, we are learning that and the importance of that, especially in this very, very, very busy season that the Lord has us in right now. It's full of joy, but it is busy, and the resting and the pausing and just playing, doing things really just to smile, and those things are so very important. But I would love to talk about calendaring, because that's hard. That's hard for some people, especially for, it may be easier for people who are administrative minded. I am creative minded and literally all over the place at the same time. And so how does calendaring come into play for you in your life?
Oh, well, as a fellow creative, I just buck against having a schedule and having to write down a goal or a deadline.
Yes.
But I also know that, man, if I have a deadline, that is the fire that I need to work toward it. And I'm telling you, if I have a year to get something done, I'll be working on that on day number 365. I will be burning the midnight oil. Or if I had a month to do it, I'll still be burning the midnight oil. Right. So as they say, a job takes as long as you have to give toward it.
Yes.
And I think for those of us who have particularly maybe creative goals or goals that we want to do, or a calling, or or just something that we want to do that we're trying to fit into the margins of our life, they will never, ever, ever fit unless you give yourself a deadline and put something on the calendar. And it may be just a simple, pick a date that you're going to write that first poem that you've always been wanting to write. And you maybe grab a accountability partner or someone, but studies show that even that the simple act of writing something down on your calendar gives you a much greater chance of actually getting it done. And if you tell someone about your goal, you also have a greater chance of getting it done. And both of those things are really hard for me. Like, I want to just keep things really vague and loose just in case, something comes up or I fail to meet it. I kind of give myself an out. But nothing happens. I will just put it off and put it off and put it off. So if you are struggling to, to just accomplish something, and maybe it's not a big life goal, but it's just your goal to, get your laundry folded, or take care of a stack of papers on the end of your desk. By giving yourself a deadline to get that done, that ensures that gives you a much greater chance that you're actually going to accomplish that. And small little wins add up to a big victory. They create a momentum in your life. Well, if I can do this little thing, then I can do this next little task. Chopping things up into small tasks and putting them on the calendar is really, really powerful.
And celebrate yourself after you get those. Yeah. I mean, have piece of chocolate candy, whatever it is, celebrate it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Well, I think again, we think that the things that should be celebrated are the really big things.
Right.
Woo
Right.
woo, got a job promotion. Well, yeah, sure, celebrate that. That is a big deal. But also for some of us, drinking enough water in a day, if that's your goal, you should celebrate that as well in some small way to just to keep yourself moving forward. I think that's probably the biggest key.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for joining us. I want to encourage everybody to get the Donkey Principle. You can get it. I got mine from Amazon. What are the other ways to get it?
Oh, well, I do love the Amazon, but your local bookstore, Barnes and Noble, is carrying it. Choice
Okay.
Books is going to be carrying it. Those little kiosks that are in the airports and grocery stores, which is really fun. So yeah, I would just get a copy for yourself, and then get one for someone else, and maybe even go through it together, because there are places that you can pause and reflect and discuss, and there's some fun easy breezy chapters that are good reminders. And then there's some other ones that may challenge you to really stop and take a look at some of the things that you've thought, your assumptions, the way you're going about your goals in your life. But I do believe that it's going to help you to just find that pace for yourself and find that meaningful work that as only you can do, and bring that gold to the world.
Yeah, I love it. And then Rachel, also, I thought, I am on your email list. So I get your Sunday, I think they're called Sunday Gold, right? How can people join your email list? Because those are they're short, and they pack a punch. And I know that so many people would be helped by them.
Oh, that's so sweet. RachelAnnRidge.com. You can go there and find a little thing to fill out to get my newsletters. I do love to send those out once a week on Sunday evenings. Just a pause for a bit of reflection to help you find your own gold. And I love being able to offer that to people.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone do that. And like Rachel said, this is great for you to go through by yourself, but I really think that this would be most powerful in groups, and most impactful in groups where you can have that discussion. And we've talked some on Every Heart, on some past shows, about the importance of having your tribe around you as you do life. It really is helpful, and I think it's a message that the Lord is sending us for right now. So Rachel, thank you so much for being on the show. Again, I always love and enjoy having conversations with you. You are just the best. Continued success at your pace. I love it that because sometimes I see you and I'm like, Rachel, what's the next big thing? And you're like, I just had a grandbaby, and that is the next big thing. And that is so appropriate, because you don't want to miss that time, but we are celebrating you as you release the Donkey Principle. And so everyone, my name is Karla Nivens. I am your host. I hope today was inspiring and helpful for you. Our show is a partner of Love Ministries, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Go to loveministriesbuilds.org. You get all of the great information about Love Ministries. You can also head to my website at karlanivens.com. Everyone, have a great week.